Now we're going to move on to the second unit, which is 12 feet. We're going to continue to use the sidewall because we can fit more people in a smaller space, especially if you're on a court. So first I'll measure out 12 feet from the side wall. 3, 6, 9, 12. I'll place a cone at 12 feet to remind the student where they need to be. They don't want to be too far behind the cone or too far in front of the rally. And then I'll place a target on the ground, either with chalk or paper. That will give them a target. And for this rotation, I'm going to do the demonstration with a British racquetball. And at this point, they could be doing the rotation by themselves. So for example, I could be hitting forehands by myself. Or I could be working with a partner. Because we don't want balls cutting in at the learner in a diagonal fashion, if I'm working with a partner, I would be using my forehand, and they would be using their backhand, and we would just keep the ball running straight up and down here. We wouldn't be both using forehands, because that would involve balls that cut in diagonally, which is challenging for the beginner. So you could, if they're talented, move right away to the partners, which would be a little bit more variability in the type of ball. Or you could have them work individually against the wall. Or you could pair a better student with a worse student so that the better student could give a more playable ball to the better student. But again, the key point is forehand to forehand, backhand to backhand, just keeping it in this system. Now from this distance, have a look at my swing and try and determine what's the required swing length. So you can see that my racket is starting here. Impact point is 0. There's a 1 backswing. Impact point is 0. There's a 1 follow through. So you can see that from this distance, a 1 follow through is doing the job. And it would be the same on the backhand. And I'll do a few left-handed so that you can see what the backhand is doing. 1 to 1. And then I would alternate, trying to get sideways if at all possible. And then, this would actually be sort of difficult. I could try and keep the ball going on a volley, which actually is sort of challenging in this distance. So because our major objective is to get the students to rally, I would certainly have them experience some of these volleys, but I wouldn't necessarily expect them to get 10 in a row. Okay, at this point, it might be a good time to talk about a few key technical points. We've already talked about the importance of the grip. Another important factor is the body segment that the students are using to hit the ball. What we commonly see at the beginning level is we see students using a lot of hand as they strike the ball, either on the forehand or on the backhand. And the difficulty with using the hand is that the hand is a very fast-moving joint when compared to, for example, the use of the shoulder. So if I move my shoulder as fast as possible, that's as fast as I can move it, but I can move my hand this fast. So when we're trying to rally at a beginning level, we're trying to reduce the variability. So that hand very quickly changes the face of the racket away from the intended path. And it also sends the ball, because the hand moves fast, it sends the ball very fast. And when you're trying to establish a rally, that means that the person receiving the ball doesn't have sufficient time to get in position and think about their technique. So with beginners, unlike at the advanced level, we want to minimize use of the hand and use of the elbow joint, and we want to focus on using the shoulder. And what that gives us, it tends to give us a racket face that is spending a lot of time moving towards the intended target. Once that hand is introduced, you can see that the racket face pulls off the target. So using the shoulder keeps the racket moving towards the target. Using a hand pulls the racket off the target. So what we're after is a fairly firm wrist, firm elbow, swinging from the shoulder on the forehand and doing the same thing on the backhand. So that's one of the key technical points in addition to the grip.